Hey y'all, it's Kate from the Apothecary and welcome back to my channel.
So today's review is something a little bit different. It's about a memoir written by one of my favorite WWE superstars. That's Becky Lynch, the man, not your average girl, by Rebecca Quin. John pre-ordered this for me for my birthday, so I got to read it as soon as it came out. Amazon actually delivered it a day early, and I dove right into this book. I am so excited to talk about this with y'all because I loved it so much. As you can see, I got some quotes written down. I'll share one of those with you all at the end of this review. This will be, since this is a memoir, I don't really say it's a spoiler-free review, but this review will be a little bit different than the others since it is nonfiction and a memoir. We won't have all of the call pile categories, but I do have some other categories that I've written out. So, of course, this is part of the Books My Boyfriend Gave Me series, and I just loved this book so much. So, of course, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I loved seeing the curtain pulled back on not only professional wrestling and WWE, but also Becky Lynch, who is, in the ring, she's known as Becky Lynch, the man, but at home, she's just Rebecca Quin, and I loved it. This book takes place from basically when Quin first fell in love with wrestling when she was just like a mid-teen, 16, 17, to all the way up just a couple years ago when she returned from maternity leave, and I loved everything about this journey. We saw not only the in-wrestling journey, but some outside wrestling journey too. And I'll talk about all of that content in just a minute. But first, I wanted to give you all kind of a glimpse into who Becky Lynch, the WWE superstar, is and all that she's done for women in professional wrestling since she started. Because y'all might not know who she is. I don't know how many of you all out there follow the WWE like I do. As you can tell, I am a big fan. This is my second piece of merch, and you can't see it because it's all the way down in the bottom. I'll stand up in a minute, but this is their Mother's Day special merch piece, and it's got some of the best women in the business on it. We've got Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair, Bayley, the role model, Charlotte Flair, the queen, and down at the very bottom is Becky Lynch, the man, and I love this shirt so much. Anyways, that was just a little tangent. So Becky Lynch, in her book, she writes about her achievements, of course. If you don't follow WWE or professional wrestling, this might not mean much to you, but in the world of sports entertainment and professional wrestling, this is huge. So Becky says, I had been involved in the first ever women's ladder match and the first time women had main evented SmackDown in a cage match. I had been in the first ever tables match for a women's title. I had competed in the first intergender match in a decade. Anytime I got the chance to tell a story, I would make the people care. And that's just a little snippet of what she did. She main evented WrestleMania. She was in a triple threat match, so 3 women in 1 match. The first time women ever main evented WrestleMania. That means they were the match, the biggest match of WrestleMania, which is the biggest show of the year in professional wrestling. And not only did she win, but she won both of the other women's belts and became 2-belt Becky. And I am just such a big fan of Becky Lynch. She's done so much. When she first started out in Japan, and she didn't want to start in WWE because at the time, women's wrestling in the WWE was mostly wearing skimpy outfits. They were the eye candy for the men to watch. They were doing pillow fights and mud wrestling, and it wasn't what it is today with actual true athletes being able to showcase their athleticism. So anyways, back to the book because that's what this is. This is a book review. So in my review, I have 4 main categories for Becky Lynch's memoir. First is writing style. And each one of these categories I rated out of 10, and then I took the average like I do with Compile. So writing style, I gave a 9 out of 10. I thought Rebecca Quin's writing style was easy to follow and understand. You could tell it was definitely Rebecca Quin, Becky Lynch's own writing in this. It was not a ghostwriter. Her voice came through so well in this book. Content, I gave an 8.5 out of 10. Listen, I loved everything about this book. I loved everything that we got in this. I just wanted more of it. I wanted the inside scoop in some of these matches. Becky Lynch is afraid of heights, which is something we learned in this book. She was a former flight attendant because that's what her mother did, and that's where she could get a job at one point. And so, but when she came back to professional wrestling and joined the WWE, she had to do TLC matches, which is tables, ladders, and chairs. And I wanted to know what it was like to be afraid of heights and have to do a TLC match, have to climb those ladders to get that belt. I wanted to know what it felt like for her to be afraid of heights and to have to climb those heights just for her career. I wanted more recent Becky. This ended a couple years ago, right before I really just started watching it again. I hadn't watched WWE since I was a kid, and so I have come to know kind of an almost different Becky here, and I wanted to see more of the moments from recent Becky. Of course, you know, at some point she had to stop writing this book and edit and go through all of the publishing phases, so I get it, but me as a fan now wanted more of that. Of course, I wanted to see what life was like at home with Seth Rollins / Colby Lopez, her husband, who is also a huge and one of my other favorite WWE superstars. I wanted to see more of the behind the scenes. We got a lot of behind the scenes in the wrestling world, but this was a personal memoir, and I wanted to see more behind the scenes of Becky's life now. We got a lot at the very beginning when she was young before she joined WWE, and we got some, you know, we got the behind the scenes of the wrestling world, but I wanted more of her life. Audiobook narration, I gave a 10 out of 10. Rebecca Quin narrated this audiobook herself, and I absolutely loved it. Wow, it was just like listening to a Becky Lynch promo. If you've ever watched WWE wrestling before, you know what the promos are like, where the wrestlers are standing there talking to the camera, giving their spiel, and it just felt like a really long, amazing Becky Lynch promo. She read with such confidence and emotion and passion and enthusiasm, and I loved it all. And enjoyment, I gave a 9.5 out of 10. Like I said, I loved everything that we got here. I just wanted more, but I loved it all. And that gives us a total of 37 divided by 4, which gives me a 9.25, which equals out to a 5 out of 5 star rating. I absolutely love Becky Lynch, the man, not your average girl. And before I read you my quote from this book, I just have to say a couple side notes to this. So this book released just before WrestleMania 40 happened, and Becky had one of the biggest matches of her life at WrestleMania. She had to wrestle this woman, Rhea Ripley, for a title. Her entrance at WrestleMania was even more special to me because I was reading this book, and her entrance at WrestleMania was a 3D image of the book, and her reading parts from this book, and her ring gear, her wrestling gear, had quotes from the book printed on the gear. And if I can get a good picture, a good screenshot, I'll put it up here. But it was just so cool to be witnessing that while watching WrestleMania and in the middle of reading this book at the same time. It was just so cool. It was just so cool. And I forget the other note I was going to say, so we'll just skip down to the quote that I have for you all. It's from the very end, the last paragraph or two It's a short quote. I say paragraph or two, but like one paragraph is just one short sentence. So, for the girl who was always so average in every aspect of life, average height, average weight, average anxieties, average grades, average upbringing, I've gotten to do some most unaverage things. I am not your average girl. And I love that quote so much because Becky Lynch is so inspirational to watch. She is not completely jacked like some of the other wrestlers. She is pretty skinny, but she's scrappy and she wins her matches that she needs to. And she's just, her story has been so inspirational to read and follow along. Oh, I remember the other note I was going to mention to you all. So a side note for what the title of this video means. Obviously, it's part of the title of the book, Becky Lynch, the Man. But I had a good laugh because when this was delivered, like I said, it was delivered a day early. And so I wasn't expecting it on that day. And I had a notification on my Alexa and she said, Becky Lynch, the Man has arrived. And I said, oh my God. That's amazing. I wish I got that recorded, but also that's going to be a great video title for this video review. So, like I said, 5 out of 5 stars for Becky Lynch, the Man. Not Your Average Girl by Rebecca Quin. I absolutely loved it and it made me want to read more wrestling memoirs, but I also want to read more from Becky. Of course, you know, a lot of this video was me raving about one of my favorite superstars, but it was about her book, which I did give 5 out of 5 stars, not just because I'm a super fan, but because I thought the book deserved 5 stars on its own, and I just loved it. So if you guys have read Becky Lynch, the Man, let me know in the comments below, what did you think of the book? Also, if you are a WWE fan, or you were a WWE fan, let me know in the comments below, who are some of your favorite superstars? Of course, I mentioned some of mine here, and we got to hear all about some of my other favorites in this book, which was one of the most exciting parts about reading this book, coming across these superstars on the page in real life, and it was so much fun. As always, keep reading, and I love you all to the moon and back. Bye.